For years I've been convinced that we slow down as we get older. And then someone comes along who turns this thinking completely on its head.
Hello.
Look at you. Lynne Crafford is a fabulous, over-the-top gym instructor and ballroom dancer who at 63 still leaves people decades younger like me catching their breath.
Well, I've got oats. I've got oat bran, honey melon water. This is a rice protein powder. Okay, there we go. So we're putting in some fruit. Very, very good balanced breakfast. Nice fresh spinach. And now we're going to blitz. You ready to taste, girl? Cheers, it's a spinach mint smoothie. Tropical spinach mint smoothie. Cheers, Lisa.
To life.
To health. My father was the person that actually inspired me because he bought me a little book about physical education, and I was just so in love with the exercise. So my dad was my inspiration.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? A get fit, stay fit course for today's town dwellers. You grew up in town.
I grew up in town, very much in Cape Town. I grew up in Oranjezerd, and we went to the reservoir very often. We used to just call it the Resi. And we used to go there with my mom and dad, and we just had wonderful times there. Just really, really wonderful. And so that I had a very, very happy childhood. When I was 5 years old, I said to my mom and dad, I said, I want to be in the circus. But I think in my heart, it still would have been the trapeze, that absolute wonderful feeling of being up there and everybody looking at you. It's about the lights, the people, the atmosphere. But the sad part is that my mom and dad refused to let me join the circus. So I could never, ever reach that dream of mine.
Even though Lynn couldn't join the circus, she discovered ballet at the age of 12 and a whole new world opened up to her.
I came home from school and my mother had bought the ballet shoes and she pinned them up on the curtain, on the shelf. So as I came in, there were the ballet shoes, and I knew I was going to my first ballet class. Any form of dancing, as long as it was dancing, I wanted to try it. So it ended up where on a Monday I would have ballet, on a Tuesday I would have tap, on a Wednesday I'd have modern, on a Thursday I'd have ballet again, and on a Friday Spanish dancing. So my week was totally filled with dancing.
Lynn was on holiday in the Free State where she met Dirk Craford. Her life was about to change.
We just said, it was a lovely holiday, it was very nice. You go your way, I go my way. And then, lo and behold, he pitched up at my house one day in Oranjezerd. And I just knew that we were going to be together.
We both started dating, and the four of us loved music. We had lots of fun times together. He was a lovely person, very affectionate. They really loved each other, and I would say they were opposites, total opposites.
So how old were you when you got married to Dirk?
Lisa, this was taken 2 weeks before my 23rd birthday. That's where we were just married, where we just come out of the church. Yes.
Another competition.
This was where I was Bride of the Month.
2 years after their wedding, Kelda was born, a beautiful baby girl. 3 years after that, Charles, a baby boy, completed the family. They were happy and the future looked bright. Fate, it seemed, had other plans.
My daughter was about 6 months old. My husband was diagnosed with cancer, and it was a mole on his knee. But by the time they cut out that mole that was spreading, the cancer had already gone into his lymph glands. And then it went into his small intestine, large intestine, liver, and eventually to the brain. And that spanned across 12 years.
So for 12 years he was ill and you nursed him.
Towards the end, of course, he got very, very ill. But from this most wonderful, affectionate person, he started withdrawing from physical contact. And if I look back, it must have been about 5 years before he died. And what was actually happening is that he was preparing me, so to speak, for when he's gone.
When Lynne Crafford's daughter Kelda was only 6 months old, her husband Dirk was diagnosed with cancer. The onus was now on Lynne to support the family, be there for Dirk emotionally and physically, and maintain a happy home.
She has always spent that time with us, you know, in a way that we weren't pushed to the side because of all of this drama carrying on, which I can only now as a parent imagine must be incredibly stressful because your mind would be on this particular huge event in your life. And I think we did, kept it normal, played music, carried on, and I think that's what kept us going. That's what made it feel like it wasn't this immense, which it was, but this immense tragedy, you know, that we're just going to completely fall apart as a family.
I decided that we're not going to have this death sentence over our heads. So I kept the home environment as happy and as positive. I actually kept it fun. I would take the children one by one and I would skip down the passage and we'd get onto his bed and, you know, have a little bit of fun and kiss daddy. We didn't tiptoe around and your daddy is sick and you better keep quiet. It was totally normal. It was like a normal household. You would never have said that we had somebody dying. So, and I wanted to do that for Dirk, to make him feel he's still part of the family.
I've got really, really good memories of my father. I think that makes dealing with a parental death manageable in that sense that the time that we had together, which was very limited, was really special.
One day, I had to find out from him, does he want a memorial service? Does he want to be cremated? Does he want to be buried? And I couldn't just go up to him and say, well, right now, seeing that you're dying, what are we going to do? So I decided to make it a family thing. And we sat on the bed with him, with Kelda, with Charles. And I started the topic, and each one of us had to say, do we want to be cremated? I had to explain to the children what cremation is. And Kelda was 12 and Charles was 9. Now, to discuss cremation and death and all that with such young children is quite something.
This is where I think the miracle lies, in a sense, is that the true impact and my memories of the impact are different, you know? So I think that's where she worked really, really hard to keep it in a certain way for us. So I think she did that well.
Kelda. The more ill he became, the worse he became. And he also started taking out almost like an anger. And he's not an aggressive person. But I knew that it was the cancer. And I knew it was changing his personality. 3 years before he passed away, I developed the most terrible migraines. And the doctors actually didn't know what was causing it. At the time, we didn't realize that it was from the excessive stress of Dirk's imminent death. And my greatest fear was raising Kelda and Charles by myself.
Lynn's always put up this brave front. When we spoke on the phone, you could sense there was sadness, but she'd always sort of have something else to say positive or, you know, try and look at the bright side. So she's always been a person that projects positivity, and she'd sort of, maybe that's why she got the migraines, because she kept a lot inside.
Lynn was looking after Dirk and holding down a job as a receptionist, working tirelessly to keep the family going. Her personal passion, her love of dancing, had to take second place. Yet she realized that she needed to have an outlet to keep herself going. Exercise was where she turned.
I had to get up early in the morning. I had to go and do a little run. I'm not a runner, but I went to do that. I came back and I did exercises in my kitchen, all quietly, until the time would come for me to wake him and wake the children, get ready for school. But then I did my own little thing.
Being a child in that type of instances, you're not crumbling, you're just also taking it day by day, and then only in hindsight do you look back.
My husband passed away on a Friday evening. And the very next morning, my son, Charles, had to, well, it was their big sports day. And I said to him, Charles, you don't have to run tomorrow. It's entirely up to you if you want to run. And he said, Ma, I want to run for Daddy. I felt that I had to channel those feelings in the right direction. After my husband died, in fact, a month after he died, I decided to join the gym. And my reason for joining the gym was to choose the path of fitness. That was my choice.
And so it was exercise that kept Lynn mentally sane and physically functioning. Yet despite this, doctors determined that the stress of the tragedy caused a severe reduction in her neurotransmitter's ability to create serotonin. It meant regular and debilitating migraines, which she still battles to this day.
The best therapy that there is for migraines, and that is physical activity. And the reason being that your body releases those endorphins, those feel-good hormones, and activates your neurotransmitters. And all of that together is actually your body's natural way of combating that pain. Because the thing is, I had the migraine pain, which was the physical pain, but I also had the emotional pain. So that, and the emotional pain is worse than the physical pain.
2 years after Dirk's death, Lynn decided to sign up for ballroom dancing lessons. At 40, she was beginning to live her dreams.
I was watching all these dances there, and Lynn was the only one that caught my eye that night, that actually, that I can see, this lady, although she was maybe still a beginner, but she could really move. So during a break between the exams that evening, I went up to her and asked her for a dance. It was a mambo, and it was just like we've danced forever.
Since that first mambo 23 years ago, Lynn and Peter have been dedicated dance partners. Together, they've won countless competitions and remain the undisputed dance marathon champions of South Africa.
Peter and I have got an amazing bond because we're almost like two people, or shall I say one person, but in two bodies, because we think so alike. And but we're not in a relationship or anything. He leads his life, I lead my life. But we are the most wonderful friends.
Lynn was now exploring her passions, but she was first and foremost a single mom, juggling her time to be there for her children and holding down a daytime job. The rest, qualifying as a Spanish dancing teacher and aerobics trainer, had to happen after hours.
My mom was also very much involved with teaching at my school. I remember that feeling of being very proud that it was my mom who was teaching the dance class and being part of that world. And then as I grew up, she was definitely one of those moms that the friends really admired, you know, and went, oh, your mom is so cool, this and that. And then, you know, she just wasn't a traditional mother in that sense. But at the end of the day, emotionally, she was always there for us. And yeah, I think it just was so part of my world that, you know, even though at times you're like, whoa, there goes Ma is doing her thing. It is something that as I've grown older, also really look back and I admire.
Mother of two, Lynne Crafford turned to exercise to deal with the death of her husband. In 1999, at the age of 49, she won the Miss Legs SA title, and then at 50, the Mrs. South Africa title, beating contestants decades younger. Lynne proved that life could be lived again, but her biggest leap of faith was still to come.
I was on a very, very, very busy switchboard. I was frontline receptionist, and I would answer the phone, Warden Blackman, good day. So, yes, and I was there for going on 23 years. One morning, I just woke up, and I said, you know what? I am going to resign. I'm going to, not so much resign, I'm going to go into early retirement. And I am going to help people with their goals in life, with fitness. I'm going to help them on the path to health. In the end, this tiny little idea of helping people became building my gym. This is a dream. But I, first of all, gave everything over to the Lord. I decided, I said, Lord, I know in my heart that you want me to do this. I know, I just know. And Lisa, everything went wrong.
Lynne's builder ran off with her money. There were complaints from a neighbour about noise levels, and she had no experience in running a business. Yet she persevered, knowing that her calling to heal herself and others through exercise was what she was meant to do.
So my real leap of faith was giving up my day job, my security, my absolute comfort zone, going into the unknown, not on the exercise side, because that I knew very well and qualified, but into the unknown. I've never run a business. You know, I just kept on saying, I said, you know I must do this. I just knew in my heart, and I persevered. And in.
They were big challenges in that sense in terms of the vision of building a business. But I think the fact that she was so in tune with following her heart ultimately, that it managed to get her through those, you know, and going, okay, this is just an obstacle, but it never veered off the path. And I don't recall her ever saying, I'm not going to do this. It was always, I'm going to do it, and these were just the challenges that came along the way.
And I'm actually into my 7th year already of my gym. But I must say that financially, it has been very tough because I'm in a very risky business, so to speak, and the dropout rate is 80% when it comes to gyms and exercise.
3, hold it down on 4, and we tap. Single, single, single.
When I came here, I said, I'm not a gym person and I just want to manage expectations. I'm probably not going to be here for a long time. And that was 4 years ago.
4.
We all had our different reasons for coming here. It was to lose weight or to get fit, or, you know, some people had stopped smoking or they had a baby or something like that. But we've all stayed for the same reason. And it's because of Lynn. It's because of her energy.
And a little pose. Thank you. Well, I think the biggest and the greatest reward is when you can change somebody's life and motivate that person and change them for the better. And where they can come back to you and they come and thank you, and you see it in their whole being. And this is my gym. Welcome to Adrenaline.
Look at this. This is the Hall of Fame and it's all one person. Do people think you're nuts?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, very much so. Very much so. Many of my gym girls, in fact, most of them, say to me, I want to be like you when I'm 63. Then I'll say to them, start now. This is where you start. And it's never too late to start. I'm actually Adrenaline. I'm actually my own name of my gym. That's why I chose that name, Adrenaline, with my name. Because I think I am actually motivating the girls. I'm setting the example.
I've done this many times. Also when something falls off, whatever, so we had to improvise as well.
Lynn goes into a real Lynn upper body self Lynn, I think, because that is really her world, and she really is like a different person. I think she really forgets all about her worries, and that's just probably not for her. I think everyone else, if you really dance, it's a different world you step in. It's like a wonderful, like a World of Oz world, maybe.
What I've learned from her is that you can actually do anything you want to. You can. She's proved that.
I would actually say that it's my Christian faith. I would actually say that I very much believe that I'm guided.
And she just, I think, had to follow that calling of going, I have to do this. I'm going to use my talents that I know is so integral to who she is and focus on that in terms of surviving on the path going forward. And I think that is the true leap of faith, is following your true calling and integrating who you are at the core and making that into your lifestyle.
So when I meet you and you're 80 and I'm whatever age, are you still going to be teaching classes?
Still going to be teaching. I'm still going to be flexible. I'm still going to get my leg up there. I'm going to be myself, and I'm still going to exercise, and hopefully have no more migraines.